The RAZR Fold, Motorola's first foldable announced at CES 2026, may be the best foldable to buy in 2026. And while Motorola has not revealed every single spec just yet, we already know enough to get a very good idea of why this may be the ideal foldable in 2026. So here are not 10, but 11 reasons why. First, the design of the RAZR Fold, because yes, this is actually the first Motorola foldable that's not a clamshell, a design which they actually pioneered and launched back in 1996, exactly 30 years ago with the StarTalk. While this wasn't extremely popular at the time, the RAZR V3 that came 8 years later in 2004 was a massive hit. We've all seen this phone. It was an ultra-thin aluminum clamshell phone that redefined mobile design with its laser-etched keypad, iconic silhouette, and pop culture status. It transformed phones into fashion accessories and became one of the best-selling phones of all time. Today, Motorola already has a strong competitor in the clamshell foldable market with the RAZR 60, which goes head-to-head with Samsung's own Z Flip 7, while also coming in at a much more affordable price. And now, in 2026, Motorola is finally trying a new type of foldable, the book style, with the RAZR Fold. So, what makes the RAZR Fold so special? Well, it seems to be very similar to the Oppo Find N5, my favorite foldable form factor. From the videos that we've seen, it appears wider than the Z Fold 7's cover screen, but not quite as wide as the Pixel 10 Pro Fold. And that was the case with the Oppo Find N5, the reason why I think this is really the sweet spot when it comes to foldable outer screens. It also seems that the crease is barely noticeable from the videos that I've seen, especially compared to the Pixel 10 Pro Fold. Its outer screen measures in at 6.56 inches, which is very similar in size to what Samsung offers on the Z Fold 7 at 6.5 inches, but of course, noticeably wider. Once you unfold it, you are greeted by this massive 8.1-inch LTPO OLED display, larger than the Z Fold 7's 8-inch screen and the same size as on the Oppo Find N5. And while Motorola has not officially confirmed the aspect ratio, based on the hands-on photos and videos that I've seen, the RAZR Fold does appear to be slightly wider than the Galaxy Z Fold 7, which I think is a great move, because one of the biggest problems with, these book-style foldables is when you watch videos with a screen open. Because, you're not gonna get a full screen experience if they're very squared off. Well, it seems that this one is actually a bit wider, which will make it even better for watching content. Both displays support 120Hz, and the inner display has a resolution of 2484 by 2232, so a bit higher than the Z Fold 7 at 2184 by 1968. So just by looking at the display alone, this would already be my favorite foldable display alongside the Oppo Find N5. But of course, you cannot officially buy the Oppo Find N5 outside of China, which automatically makes the Moto RAZR Fold the superior choice. But wait, there's more. The build. Motorola hasn't announced the official figure, but from the hands-on videos that we've seen, it does look to be very close to the Z Fold 7 in thickness. A bit thicker, but still quite close. So I'm guessing around 4.5 to 4.8 millimeters thin compared to 4.2 on the Z Fold 7, and thinner than the 5.2 on the Pixel 10 Pro Fold. And while Motorola hasn't officially confirmed the materials that they'll be using, it seems like the Pantone lily white color may have a vegan leather finish on the back. And speaking of colors, that's the other thing that makes the RAZR Fold quite special, because just like some of Motorola's other phones, they've partnered with Pantone once again for some beautiful looking colors. We've got Pantone Black and Blue and Pantone Lily White, as previously mentioned. Pantone are the global color standard for design, fashion, and manufacturing, and Motorola's partnership with them signals precise color accuracy, consistent finishes, and a premium look, since Pantone shades are typically associated with high-end luxury products. And of course, with these beautiful Pantone colors, our wallpapers would look even better on its display. Link down below. Which brings me to an even bigger reason to consider the RAZR Fold over the Z Fold 7, the Pixel 10 Pro Fold, and many other foldables in 2026, and that's Stylus Support. Its Moto Pan Ultra Stylus also comes in its specific Pantone color called Pantone Carbon, and it offers a bunch of features such as pressure sensitivity, tilt detection like the Apple Pencil Pro, and palm rejection. And it even seems to come with its own case that is used to charge the stylus, as apparently it has its own battery rather than being a purely passive stylus. The Z Fold 7 doesn't support the S Pen anymore, as Samsung got rid of it. The Pixel 10 Pro Fold never did. Some of the Chinese foldables do have stylus support, like the Oppo Find N5 and the Huawei Mate X7, but these are China-only devices. The only foldable that you can buy outside of China that has stylus support that I'm aware of is the Honor Magic V5. However, the V5 is not available in the US, whereas the Motorola RAZR Fold will be. That's another advantage to the RAZR Fold. The next one is its cameras. We get a main 50-megapixel Sony LYTIA sensor, which is joined by a 50-megapixel ultra-wide camera with macro support, and then a 50-megapixel 3x periscope telephoto. That's all it's confirmed in this hands-on video, and honestly, I am quite impressed, especially when compared to the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7, which features a very underwhelming 10-megapixel telephoto and a pretty underwhelming 12-megapixel ultra-wide as well. And then if you take a look at the Pixel 10 Pro Fold, this one features a 10.8 megapixel telephoto and a 10.5 megapixel ultra-wide. Of course, megapixels aren't everything, but according to Phone Arena, the sensor sizes on the RAZR Fold are said to be 1/1.28 inches for the main camera, so pretty big sensor, then 1/2.76 inches for the ultra-wide, and 1/1.95 for a telephoto, which is actually pretty big. Almost as big as on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and noticeably better than the Z Fold 7, which has a super tiny 1/3.94 inch telephoto sensor. The outer selfie camera is a 32 megapixel sensor, and the inner one is 20 megapixels, which again sounds good, at least on paper. However, there's more. Another reason to consider the Moto RAZR Fold is its performance. Although not official yet, most leaks point to the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 chip, paired with 16GB of RAM, and 512GB or 1TB of storage. In comparison, the Z Fold 7 still comes with the previous gen Snapdragon 8 Elite, while the Pixel 10 Pro Fold comes with an even weaker Google Tensor G5. Then another reason is the battery life. Even though Motorola hasn't given us any specific details yet, leaks from Sam Mobile suggest a 5200 mAh silicon carbon battery, or 20% larger than the 4400 lithium-ion battery in the Z Fold 7, and 3% larger than the one in the Pixel 10 Pro Fold. Also with 90 watts fast charging as opposed to just 30 on the Pixel and 25 on the Z Fold 7. One more reason is the software. Pixels have always been very close to stock Android, and if the Moto RAZR 60 is anything to go by, the RAZR Fold should follow the same near-stock experience. That's in stark contrast to Samsung and especially many of these Chinese brands, which rely on heavy customization. And personally, I much prefer the stock Pixel experience. But I think all of this means nothing if the RAZR Fold costs an arm and a leg. Well, I've got some good news here, because according to the leaks, it should cost around $1,500, or $300 less than the Pixel 10 Pro Fold, and $500 less than the Z Fold 7, which would be insane considering all the advantages that the RAZR Fold will have over the Samsung and the Pixel. But okay, how likely is this lower price? Well, the Moto RAZR 60, a direct competitor to the Flip 7, launched in the US for just $699 compared to $1099 for the Flip 7, making the RAZR roughly 65% of the price. So it is very likely that we'll see $1,500 or so for the price. So when are we expecting to see the Moto RAZR Folds being launched? Well, according to most sources, we should expect to see it around summertime, possibly around the same time as the Z Fold 8. A Leaks Rumors video on that coming soon, so make sure you're subscribed for it. But yeah, I honestly expected this launch to be much sooner, and this, its main competitor to be the Z Fold 7, because if it arrives later in the year, then it will be compared to the Z Fold 8, which would have an updated chip, probably an updated camera, although if the RAZR Fold costs significantly less, then this may still be the best foldable for most people in 2026. However, the biggest selling point of the RAZR Fold is the fact that, unlike many Chinese competitors that aren't being sold in the US, the RAZR Fold will be, which would put it in direct competition with the Z Fold 7, the Pixel Fold, and eventually the iPhone Fold later this year. And if Motorola manages to undercut all of them on price, then the RAZR Fold could see some massive success. But for now, this is everything that we currently have on the Motorola RAZR Fold. I'm personally very excited for it, and I cannot wait to see how it compares to the Z Fold 7, 8, and of course, the iPhone Fold. But let me know, what do you guys think? And don't forget to check out our app wallpapers for some awesome designs. I'm Daniel, this is ZONEofTECH, and I'll see you guys in the next one. ZONEofTECH, signing out. Cheers.